Welcome to Disrupted Science, the occasional conversation between the authors of the book How the Internet Disrupted Science, now available
Woo.
everywhere. You can buy a book online in your local store. I'm Joy Moore here with my co-author Ken Anderson, and today is Wednesday, August 5th, 2026. Hey, Kent.
Hey, Joy, we're finally here on the other side of launch day.
Yeah, we got
And
some we've gotten some really good feedback so far.
yeah,
We haven't had any people say, why'd you do this?" So
yeah, yeah. And we've got, we had a nice podcast come out with Gareth.
yeah, we had a great podcast episode with Gareth King from Australia.
Yeah,
And he asked us some really good questions and put us through our paces, I think. And I think we
yeah.
came out on the right side of it. Yeah.
And the audio quality on that was amazing.
Yeah, he did a
Yeah,
great job.
he did a great job. So, but there were a lot of other things going on since, I mean, just, things happen so fast and we get to watch it all and bang our heads against the desk half the
Yeah.
time.
I
So,
know. I was trying to relax on the beach in Marblehead, but there were things that we still needed to read.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
we got to start with the one that kind of made me scratch my head a little bit. Was a very thoughtful piece by Nature, and I'm sorry, I don't have the citation if it was Nature News or if it was a Nature editorial, but this very splashy, beautifully AI generated um, piece about review mills and citations
hmm
that kind of captured the attention of the market for a hot minute.
hmm
And it's just like, yeah, no kidding. Like,
yeah,
what are we even talking about
yeah.
here?
And why so fancy? Why so fancy pants about it? Because it's really a simple set of descriptions, right? It's
Right. It's basic math. If you
hmm
publish a bunch of junk, then you're going to get a bunch of junk. And then
well, and
if
if
you
you
put,
ask a bunch of junky reviewers who are double dealing, then you're going
yeah,
to get a bunch of reviews that are trying to get you to add citations that they like. And if you're not really running a good journal, then you might have that happen because other people will just shrug and let it happen. So it's just,
right. But to be sure, they weren't talking about the nature journals. They were talking about other journals
oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
from other publishers. And
right.
so, yeah. Uh, but that was also maybe in retrospect timed right before the earnings call
Mm,
and before the open evidence partnership announcement that
right.
came
So
out
yeah, nature's
this
been
morning.
busy in August, early August,
Hmm. Aren't they
sending
all
in.
supposed to be on vacation?
That's why they're doing it. These are their leave behinds. These are their gift
Y-
bags that they're leaving
Yeah.
us. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So we're rich. We have fancy graphics that we overspend on, and we're now going to turn our content over to an AI slot machine. So,
Yeah.
and
I
now
mean,
we're off. Now we're off to the beach. So,
yeah, exactly. Now they're going on vacation. Yeah, that was it was really interesting to read the earnings that their research output part of the company is making up the bulk of their revenue. That research output is primarily funder paid or
mhm,
author paid, and it's not recurring revenue, it's opportunistic revenue. And
mhm,
so to have your company built on one-offs and then immediately say, we're also going to license this, whatever it is that we put through our system to somebody else
right.
is another like extraction. So it's extraction on the front end and now it's extraction on the back end.
Well, a
So
couple of things struck me about it. One, they're boasting how their growth is faster than the market is growing. So
Right.
13% to 8%, and then they were boasting a month ago how their growth was going to be 20%. So things are already all over the place, but the market's growing at 8%, which seems inflated anyhow. But
Well, what is the market that they're talking about? We're talking about the market of papers. We're not talking
right.
about the market
So
of
it's
research or research funding or scientific discoveries. It's
yeah,
just it's a paper mill.
it's fluff. It's fluffy, fluffy, fluff. But the other thing that struck me, so I think these numbers are a bunch of hand waving, plate spinning numbers. And if you really interrogated them, you might find that maybe you know, it's growth at all costs kind of
Yeah.
mentality. There was nothing, the second thing that struck me was there was nothing in there about quality. There's
Oh
absolutely
no.
zero about quality, about how important our findings are, how much we care about our scientific communities, or anything like that. And the third thing that struck me is that their supply chain, especially with the open evidence announcement, the fact that they're now partnering with open evidence. So a paper comes in, it goes through their AI front end system, it does whatever
As far
there.
as we know. Yeah.
Well, that's what they say.
Mm-hmm.
This is all enabled by our AI super duper system and our guidelines and our this and that, and then it goes. Maybe a human sniffs it once and make sure it doesn't smell too bad, and then it goes out through AI publishing systems into an AI repository to get processed out,
Aggregator.
an aggregator, and so
Yeah.
it's just it's hyper efficient, but I don't think it's in the face of the book that we are talking about, where science should be for scientists and for communities and should be carefully judged and evaluated to make sure that the scientists are saying accurate things to each other and can rely on what the other scientists are saying. This is the antithesis of that.
No, it is the exploitation of the bubble. They are
Hmm.
pushing the balloon to the maximum amount. And I
Yeah.
was listening to Ed Zitron this morning, and one of the quotes was, these people only think 2 quarters ahead. And
Hmm.
I totally get it. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, let's just pump and dump, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
So
So
congratulations on your amazing earnings, Springer Nature, but what the heck?
so then I wanted to jump forward to the Control Z Award, which is okay. So
All
one
right,
of
let's talk
the
about this. What?
oh no, so funny. It's all right. So there are so many dimensions that this is so screwed up. So one of the things that we talk about is how there's obeisance to technology, too much in our space, right?
Mhm.
And what's the name of this award? It's a keyboard shortcut to undo something.
Yeah, it's like whoopsie.
Yeah, well, but
Uh,
it's Control Z. Why does it have to be Control Z?
because
Why isn't it the Honesty Award or the Integrity Award or something like that? They have to put in a technology frosting. They have to coat it with technology frosting because that's the only way they sound cool. But then it's aggressively pointless
right.
because
So let's talk, but we haven't said what it is and
okay,
why
sorry,
why
sorry.
we're talking
Oh,
about it.
we're all worked up about it. I'm all worked up about it. I hate this thing.
It's from Retraction Watch,
Right. The Center for
right? The,
Scientific Integrity. Hooty
right.
hoot.
Yes. And so the people who promote open publishing are now giving awards to people who made a mistake and erased it or tried to,
Tried
because
to, because
yeah,
it doesn't really ever go away. I could find unretracted versions of both of or all the articles that were listed.
yeah, but that's the environment that we're in now, right? It's like if you like just admit to like making a mistake, now you get an award.
Well, what's so weird is that Retraction Watch they sensationalize retractions, right? And I think
Yeah.
that has the effect, a kind of a chilling effect on honest brokering of mistakes. because
Yeah.
you always, if you make a mistake, you must be thinking, oh God, I'm going to end up in retraction watch. Maybe I'll just try to sweep this under the rug. And who knows how much, if that goes on or how much that goes on. But they trafficked in sensationalizing retractions and little scandals and little oopsies and all that stuff. But then they try to play the other side of the field where they're saying, oh, if you make a mistake and you fess up, we'll give you $2,500 and give you a prize, right? And we'll have a little contest where a few people judge whether you're the best button in the, in the button drawer. And
Or like, yeah, I didn't even think about that. Like, was your mistake worse than somebody else's? Like, how are they judging
right. Well,
that?
yeah. Well, and
Never
then,
mind.
but the thing is that the only way I can reconcile it is that retraction watch is just another participant in the attention economy,
Of
right?
course, yeah.
And they only care about retractions as much as they generate attention. And so they play retractions are naughty and retractions are scandalous, and then they play retractions are good and retractions are wholesome. And both they're trying to get attention from both. And then they have that whole that whole $900,000 pickle jar initiative where they gave $1 million to James Heathers to go out and I think he's found like two things. And it's just it's just such a mess. And ex post facto too. It's like this
Well,
is the
it's
kind of
also
stuff that should be, if we were more careful about vetting the science in the first place.
well, if we juxtapose the Control Z award versus this Springer Nature earnings, it's like good luck all y'all. I mean,
Right.
what what is
That's
even
right. We
happening
made
here?
millions and you paid $7,500 to three little people who
Who
their
said, I'm
papers are still
sorry?
unretracted in most places. So, well, anyhow, so that was that was our day, our launch day, and earlier today, watching
Hmm.
the insanity continue to roll forward. But the book is out. If you have it, we hope you enjoy it. If you haven't gotten it yet, I hope you do. And we
Hmm.
have four more podcasts in the bin and another kind of maybe a bigger one coming. So we'll see.
Yeah, yeah. We're just getting started here with this book. So we won't spend too much time on this podcast talking about the book because you're going to hear about it in a lot of other places, hopefully.
Right.
And so what we wanted to do today was take a pause on and in terms of looking from outside in
Mm-hmm.
and what is actually going on. So one of the things that people that we've been talking to about the book is like, why should we care? Like
Mm-hmm.
this is so much inside baseball. This is just the economics of a particular industry. What
Right.
does this have to do with you and me? And what it does have to do with is how we're getting sold pseudoscience.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that we wanted to pivot to today was that outside in perspective and to look at, hey, where are all these supplements coming from? And
And
how does,
why do they pop up so easily? So it's the
yeah.
supply chain of pseudoscience. We're going to talk about Shopifying your pseudoscience. So here we go. All right, so let's Shopify our pseudoscience, Joy. And this one, you caught the inspiration for this one. You want to talk
I
about that?
did. Yeah, so there was an article in Wired the other day about alternatives to Adderall, which is a very timely and important discussion about um, both the overprescription and potentially alternatives to s- psychiatric drugs for people who have attention deficit disorder and other things.
Mm-hmm.
But as I was reading the article, which was called "Wellness Influencers Are Pushing natural and unproven alternatives to Adderall. My takeaway from the article, I've heard about lion's mane and I've been subjected to all of the different advertisements on the internet. But what Wired didn't talk about is, why do we all know about these? Like
Hmm.
it in our media consumption, like there's an engine for that, and it's
Hmm.
it's not it's not influencers pushing to you or me. It's a platform play, and that
Yeah.
platform is Shopify.
Right. And we've seen Shopify pop up in a lot of different places over the past year or two, and it's been surprising some of the places that it's appeared because, but it's like if you see something on some like powered by Shopify, it's always kind of been like, really? That's them
Yeah.
again? And so, the we wanted to kind of explore what it is, right? So where does it come from? How does it work? How deep is the supply chain? What do they all provide? What's the competitive landscape? Because we just didn't understand it. And
Hmm.
so we dug in and we found that, it's like Wayfair or Substack or, anything like that. It's a turnkey platform for
It's
something.
yeah, it's a
And
white label,
yeah,
right? For whatever you want to turn your brand into.
right. But they seem to have really grown central to the nutraceuticals and supplements market because, and you found all the stuff like that. And I'd seen this too, actually. But they have, you run across, if you run like a dozen of these sites, you're like, whoa,
Yeah.
that's the same stock photo. That's the same guy.
Yeah.
It's the same,
It's literally the same very handsome black man who is in all of the
with super
vitamin.
white teeth and he looks
Yeah.
and a
And
super blue
he's
sky. And it's
and I
like
hope
this.
he's getting paid a lot of money for that stock
He's
photo.
probably like 60 years old now. So I always love thinking about how old is that person, that stock photo I've been seeing forever. But so they have very common templates, very common look and feel, shared stock photo galleries that they're pulling from. And then what's also interesting is we found profitability and pricing calculators online.
Yeah, so that's where we took it to the next level. This is not just a white label platform like WordPress or others from back in the day where you can, hire a developer or not even, or do it yourself.
Hmm.
Um, they have taken it to the next level to not only give you the out of the box shopfront window, but they're going to tell you how to source and how to fulfill whatever product you want to sell.
Well,
And
they
that
actually
was
have a
amazing.
Shopify
Yeah.
supplement fulfillment service.
Right. So
Yeah.
um we should start ours. What?
I want to sell anti-BS pills, but then you take one and you'd cancel your subscription
Oh,
if they
that would be
worked.
too honest. Right. Well, that's a
Yeah.
problem. It's but
It is a problem
no,
actually
no,
because
to
of the
your point.
calculator.
Yeah, you need recurring revenue. So
Right.
that's the other thing, is these are all subscription based products, that
Right.
it's not a one and done. It's not like an Etsy store where you know, buy an artisanal thing and somebody ships it to you. This whole platform is designed for recurring revenue. And
Yeah.
so it's
And the
a
calculators
subscription.
show you how it takes 2 or 3 months
Yeah.
before you start breaking even on your little subscription business for
Hmm.
pills or whatever you're selling. And then, yeah, so it's recurring revenue, subscriptions. Shopify has a $152 billion market cap. It's a Canadian company.
Yeah. So dig into that a little bit more, because again, every time we hear these, company names on podcasts, it's like, oh, you can, you're just a little person. You can Shopify whatever you want. But
Right.
it's coming from a bigger place. And so who are these people and what have they done?
Yeah, so the family that owns it is sort of well, they are a full-on right-wing kind of family. And they're trying to start a little bit of a media empire on the back of this. What's interesting is I took a look at their stock history, and I'll put this in the post, and it tracks with, I'd call it the double Trump bump. So they get a big bump
Oh.
during the pandemic, and then they fade out during the Biden administration, and then they start coming roaring back with the current Trump administration. And I think that's because for a variety of reasons. I mean, it's just they can sense that there's more opportunity there. The grifters have more opportunity. The pseudoscience players have more opportunities, and all of that. And or during the pandemic, there was a lot of
Yeah,
pushing
I
various
think
other
it
things.
yeah, I think the way to break it down is during the pandemic, people were at home looking for alternative things, ways to make money and things to consume. And so
Hmm.
that was the 2020 to 2022 bump. And then there was a lull.
Hmm.
And then they obviously rode on the back of Maha
Hmm.
into 2026 and beyond. And
Yep.
so the deregulation of a lot of things within the United States HHS purview,
Hmm.
combined with everybody do your own research and put beef tallow on your face, which I literally saw that in Vermont and I was like, stop it. um
Really.
but yeah, but yeah, I don't think like the pandemic bump and the 2025 to now bump are related, but not exactly.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, one was a response to an outside event, exogenous event in a way. And the current one is more organic, not to use that term inappropriately, but it's more being driven by the politics of the Maha movement and the emergence of this whole space as more and more mainstream. And one of the ways that they're doing that is, and this is fascinating, is there are AI slopfluencers. And so these are fake people, fake AI generated, and they tend to fall into certain buckets: black women, monks, and grandmas.
I know that's so weird. It's
So
like
manipulative.
Tibetan black
Yeah.
grandma monk is telling you
Yeah,
to
but
buy a thing. Yeah.
yeah, they're going for, for whatever demographics they can sell to, or whatever gives some sort of trustworthy vibe off. And they have, I mean, if you go deep into this, the way that black women talk in these things, the way that grandmas talk in these things are all so full of stereotypes and offensive, but that's what they're using. So we're just reporting here. They're heavily used on TikTok and other sites, and TikTok Shop is another player in this, but they aren't as successful as Shopify. And you can see why when you compare your ROI using
Right.
the tool to calculate your profitability, that Shopify will give you better margins, based
Right.
on
Because on
costs.
yeah, and so the appeal of Shopify is you get to own your own brand.
Hmm.
Whether it's just with a stock photo and stock text, they are giving you a brand presence.
Right.
And I've never bought anything from TikTok. Have you?
No, no.
Okay.
But you can still use TikTok if you have a Shopify site, right?
Right. And so that's the other thing that the Shopify folks have done very, very well over the
Hmm.
years is they had an idea in the beginning. I think they were selling snowboards or skis or something in Canada.
Yeah,
And then over time, much like Wayfair, they realized, oh, we've got some tech and let's partner and let's build and let's outsource. And
right.
so that's how they've they've gone from the .com era all the way to the AI Shopify era, which is
Yeah.
It's impressive.
Yeah, and the media property that the family behind Shopify is trying to, well, is driving forward with with the money that they're earning this way, and now through the media, is called True North.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, and it's it's the Fox News, whatever, News Nation equivalent of Canada. And I haven't looked into how successful it has been, but I know there's a rising tide of right-wing politicians in Canada that people are worried about, and for good reason. The other thing that's interesting is that when people pull back the curtain on who these AI generated slopfluencers, who's behind them, it's like those FBI stings where it's like, some 50-year-old overweight guy pretending to be a teenage girl to entrap a guy. It's all these
Mhm.
white, you know, nerds, but they're pretending to be a monk or a black woman or a grandma or whatever. So it's all just terrible. But there is a competitor, Joy.
What's the competitor?
It's called Swell.
Oh, right.
So if you are worried that your margins aren't as good, or you might have your payments shut down because of some policy violation at Shopify, or if you have
Never
received,
fear.
never
Yeah.
fear, or if you've received an FTC notice or a chargeback spike from a free trial funnel, or your carrier restriction on hemp, don't worry, Swell's got your back. They
Yeah.
are they are a slightly lower cost, but more slightly griftier, I would say, version of Shopify, and they're coming after them.
Hmm.
So this space is now so fulsome and so robust that there are actually competing people who, and they aren't going in the direction of we do better. They're just like we won't you won't
Like
you
we're
won't get as busted with us.
Yeah, exactly. That's so smart.
Uh,
It
our fake
also
IDs are so much better. You'll get more beer.
yeah, this is not the one you got from the trash can behind the DMV. This is the one that we made in our lab.
Right.
Um, oh gosh. Yeah. I mean, it's and the more that we've been talking with different people out there, particularly in the media space, who are like trying to understand like which advertisers should I accept or not accept? It's so fraught, right?
Hmm.
And we saw this with athletic greens, and with the Armra colostrum and all of these other products that have like flooded the podcast media space zone with
Hmm.
advertising, and creators need this revenue in order to be able to create what they're doing. But and I guess the Debbie Downer in me is like, sorry, if it's coming from Shopify and you're talking about Shopify as an advertiser on your podcast, they are pushing things that are not necessarily good, but also the company behind it is just as fraught as
Problematic
many
potentially.
others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are a couple other dimensions to tease out of this. One is that I think it was on conspirituality, but it might have been another. There, a lot of people are kind of covering this, but they do the best job, I think. They were talking about how pharma has picked up on the supplements piece, and they are now competing heavily in this, and they're providing part of the supply chain
Hmm.
because it's cheaper for them to run a few extra omega-3 gel pills and fill them with something else than to have start another supply line somewhere else. And so they're competing for that business because if their factories are busy all day, then that's great for them. So there's more, this it's kind of like the Springer nature thing, right? So there's like, open evidence is there's Shopify and there's more supply people coming in all the time to try to push things through that. But the
Hmm.
other thing that makes it difficult, and this is what I think they call the horseshoe effect of the politics involved in this. And we talk about it in our book a little bit. The horseshoe, or the other term that the one we use in our book, is new fusionism. And this is where yoga circles of the extreme left and the alt-right share a group of ideas that make it hard to distinguish them, except for maybe how they look and dress and,
Yeah.
think they think,
Yeah.
right? What they identify with as right or wrong, but they ultimately share a kind of politics about health and science and nutrition, and very individualistic, very libertarian, all of that. And so,
Yeah, the bottom parts of the horseshoe are both deep thinkers, right?
mhm,
They are
right,
thinking
they
hard
do
and
their own
they're
research.
caring a lot. Yeah.
If I only think harder, it will work. So anyhow, we find this, fascinating. I think this is kind of a placeholder in a way, just to start to understand Shopify. This is our experience. This is kind of the first whack, and then how everybody listening knows how it goes. Once you start identifying these things, you start seeing them everywhere. And so I'm sure
Yeah.
there's going to be a lot more that we're going to see, that you're going to see. If you see something that you want us to look into, we'd be happy to, because it's a crazy world out there. But yeah, there's a whole little ecosystem, supply chain, everything going on behind this, and that's why it's popping up so fast, and where all the incentives are.
Yeah, it's the extraction economy.
Hmm.
Again, another platform, another sales platform, and we didn't even talk about any of the science behind any of the products that don't have any science behind them, because you don't need any science. And so that's also a potential warning for the publishers who are.
That is a really good point. So one of the things that we've seen since we put the book to bed is that what looked like an economy where these players were buying OA articles to plant somewhere, either through, special issues programs or whatever, and then citing those. Then it moved to more and more kind of preprints, because they didn't want to pay anymore. And now it's just they're ignoring the whole mess. They're
No,
just
it's
putting
just
on their
it's
website, we did this science, and here's our science, and
yeah,
they
we
don't
did
even.
science. Click on the science, and then there's stock photos of lion's mane mushrooms and really good looking people with nice teeth. So,
Or the other thing I've seen is they will cite a paper that they didn't pay for, that is a nothing burger paper, and
mhm,
just for the sake of a citation, because they know no one's going to follow it, and they're
yeah.
just using citation decorations. So yeah, I mean, it's a whole game, and it's not very scientific at all. But that's what we have in the world of Shopify platforms and AI and OA information. So there we go.
Yep. Just don't sign up for the free trial. Whatever you do, do not put your credit card number in. And I even started getting emails from one site that I was just cruising. I didn't even
Mm,
tell who I was, and now I'm
really?
getting emails from them every single day.
Wow. Wow. All right. All
Such
right. Be
smart
safe out there.
technology.
Be safe out there. All right. Are you ready for discoveries of the week?
I am.
All right. So I think this is my week to go first. So I have one that turned out to be much more interesting than I thought it was going to when I started this. And I have to thank my son, because he has this way of like introducing things and surprising me. So anyhow, so the show that he introduced me to is an anime series from Japan that has this whole legacy, if you get to know it and all this stuff, called Attack on Titan.
Okay.
It started out as excuse me, a comic book or a manga, and then it turned into a show, and it became very famous. And so we watched a few episodes of it, and it's hard to watch. It's hard to
Hmm.
watch. So the premise is that there are these giant titans that like to eat humans,
Okay.
And so the humans have retreated to a three-ring, high-walled set of cities, interlocking cities. And to hide,
They're hiding from the.
yeah, they're trying to protect themselves from these titans. And then somehow, the walls are 50 feet high and everybody's feeling like a prisoner and all this kind of stuff. So there's all this psychology going on. And then one day, this giant titan rises up and he's like head and shoulders above the wall. And so troubles are
Because
brewing.
why was he so big? Because he ate so many humans?
I don't know. No, I don't know.
Okay.
But so that's
All
part of
right.
the mystery of the show, and I'm not going to do spoilers. So,
Okay.
but anyhow, what's interesting is so they breach the wall. I'll do one spoiler in the first episode or two. They breach the wall and they start eating humans, and it's gruesome. But so I looked it up, and I guess it's very popular among the kids, the younger set. And I looked it up, and psychologists think that it's very popular because that's how they feel. They feel like there are these big
Ah,
uh, powers that just want to eat them, just want to devour them and extract them. So we kind of get into the extraction economy and how it must feel to have these kind of, monolithic platforms that are just sucking your soul dry and draining you, eating you up and not caring about you and feasting on your neighbors and causing trouble for your friends, and your friends are disappearing and all this stuff. So, whether it's pandemic or technology or all this stuff, and it's like, okay, I kind of get it. I kind of get why this would resonate. It's depressing in a way, but it's a show. So of course, there's going to be a heroic arc as well.
yeah.
And that's what I'm interested in following because I know that it
Yeah. So
ultimately has. Oh,
who's
you
gonna be
you
the
know pretty early who's going to
superhero?
be, but you don't know is how they're going to be
Oh,
the hero.
okay. I might have to watch this.
Yeah, it's
Is this a,
interesting.
yeah.
It's on Disney Plus, oddly enough.
Okay, I won't watch it.
Yeah,
I'll get it
Disney
when it.
Plus eating humans.
And this a show for children? Or
No, I
oh,
would say
okay.
not. I would say not
Okay, I
unless you
didn't.
really want to have your children up screaming in the middle of the night.
Well, yeah, okay. All right. I will
So
check it out. Yeah,
depends on
no,
what kind of parent you are.
but it's really interesting that that these are the types of media and entertainment that are gaining traction right now.
Yeah.
And
Well, I think we
it's
all
important.
yeah, I mean it's interesting because I try to be a good pop culture uh, watcher, observer. And it's like horror movies are really popular right now.
Hmm.
Movies that are depressing, not so much,
Right.
or just tense. Like there's a Brad Pitt movie that's coming out where it looks like, it's going to be Brad Pitt and a dog trying to fight their way back to civilization. And I'm like, nope, I don't need tension
Mm-mm.
in a movie theater. I want, either, silly jump scares or superheroes or epic sadness.
Well, right. And with all three of those examples that you just cited, there's resolution and
Hmm.
there's a confidence that it's going to turn into something one way or the other in the end that you
Right.
can leave the theater or, turn off the show
Yeah, it's
and
hopeful.
you're going to have some kind of, okay, that there was a problem and it was solved.
Right.
Done. And I can see how those types of media are really appealing right now when so much is just open-ended and crazy.
Yeah, exactly. So that was my discovery of the week. Attack on Titan on Disney
Okay.
Plus, and be aware that it is not for the faint of heart, but it has a potentially deeper psychological resonance with the younger set than maybe we older people, and we need to understand that maybe a little bit
We
why
do.
that is.
So for my discovery of the week on that theme, I got to meet some young scientists this morning in
Oh, really?
real life.
Oh,
Yep.
cool.
I was down at the James River here in Williamsburg, and there were two uh, employees of the National Park Service who pulled up next to me, and I was like, is it okay if I let my dogs run? I was like, what are you doing? Because they had all this equipment. They had cameras and like satellite stuff and
Hmm.
things like that. And I was like, what are you guys doing? And they were measuring the erosion at this very specific part of the James River.
Hmm.
And they were putting it into a database for whatever reason. I wanted to ask them a million questions, and they were like, "Hey, lady, get your dogs and get out of our way."
Right.
Um, but it was really cool. And it's all the things that we talk about all the time. It's science in the abstract, and
Hmm.
the economics of papers and how it's turning into things that you can buy online. It was just like super cool to see these young scientists who were just like, yeah, I'm just out here taking some measurements
Doing some
and
science.
I'm going to do some science. I don't know how much funding I have or whether it will lead to anything, but it's a great way to spend the morning. And
And
so
I'm
that
making
was
the
super cool.
observations. Yeah,
Yep.
that good
Hmm.
for them. That is cool. That's the kind of down to earth science that we think we need to focus on instead of all this tech gobbledygook stuff. So that's great.
Hmm.
Good.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. Thanks to our friends at Provoke the Truth for the music. If you have topics you want us to cover, please email us at disruptedscience@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you, especially if you've read the book and you have thoughts. You can also keep up with developments at the Geyser, as always, where you can subscribe to support our efforts. Thanks so much for the listens and the feedback.
Thanks, everyone.